quickly.
Are you sure about that? Okay.
So I guess first, Unit 5 is logs and exponents.
No, it's bot. It's a bot. No.
And
Well, I don't like logs though.
here's sort of the outline. Yeah, most people don't like logs. I get that. We'll do properties of exponents today. And then next week we'll do graphs of both logs and exponents. Because you might remember that logs and exponents, they kind of go together. They're inverses of one another. You do the fish hook thing to go from one to the other, if that sounds familiar.
What?
So we do the graphs together because they're so similar. And then late next week we do properties of logs. And then toward the end we'll do equations. Now this is a lot of stuff. So what we're going to do is after graphs of logs and exponents, we're going to do like a mid-unit test. A halfway test. I don't know how else you're going to call it. It's not a quiz. It's a test grade. It's a summative grade.
It's basically 2 units jammed into one.
It's 100 points. It's not 2 units jammed into one. It's half a unit with one test.
So the second test will include everything, or just the second half?
The second test will include everything, primarily because you can't do this without knowing this. So I don't know that it'll be explicitly tested, but it'll include. It's like asking, will we have to know how to add on this test? Well, yes, you will, because you always have to know how to add. So, is 3 plus 5 going to be on the test? No, but you're going to have to know how to add. So,
83 plus 96.
yes, you'll have to know the first stuff for the second test. So that's kind of what's coming up. The next test we have is next block day. So that's a quick turnaround. So that's next Thursday for you guys. But, the good news is there's only a couple things on it. So it should go okay. Should. All right, you guys keep telling me you know about exponents, so let's make sure here. Oh, so let's take the test now, right? Let's go.
I regret saying that.
I don't know. You're going to know these rules. So this is, of the days, this is the most straightforward of the days. So let's look at some properties. And I think we start with x to the 0. What's x to the 0? That is 1. Because anything to the 0 is 1.
Just 1 so if it was 25, x to the 0 would be just 1.
Well, be careful. That's a great question. If it's 25x to the 0, what has the 0 exponent? The x or the 25 or both?
X. So would it be 26?
That would be 25. Because it's 25 times x to the 0.
Will?
That's a good question. As opposed to 25x all to the 0,
That would be 0.
That would be
I mean, 1.
that would be 1.
Bro. My dog will
He's
hear
still
this.
learning, my guy.
My dog will hear this. At 4 in the morning, and I was not happy.
How about x to the negative 1? What's that?
That'd be just
1 over x. Because the negative flips it over. Let's do the same thing with that one, because this messes people up too.
See, I helped out.
25x to the negative 1.
Equals 25 over 1.
So the x gets flipped, but the 25 doesn't get flipped. Unless it was 25x in parentheses to the negative 1. And then it's...
Wait, 25 over x.
Excuse me? One more time.
Yeah, no, wait, I was...
1 over 25x.
1 over x.
1 over 25 and then x on the outside.
Well, they would both be in the bottom, so I would just write it like that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. In your future.
Here's the one we showed earlier that the calculus student missed. X to the n times x to the m.
It's x to the n out.
X to the, what was that?
M.
See, I think you know this.
No, it's x plus, it's n plus m. No, I can't.
X cubed times x to the fifth is,
Because you just added them.
because you added them, yes. So x to the n plus m.
Let's go. And if you have to do another power to that, it just goes above that.
We'll do that in a minute.
Sure. Absolutely. No.
How about x to the n divided by x to the m?
That would be
X to the n.
Well, you gotta get rid of the one on the bottom, so you gotta make it on the top.
X to the n minus m.
And what if you put the 25 there? No, I wouldn't change anything. Never mind.
And then here's the one you were talking about. If you have a power to a power, what do you do with the n and the
Just gotta
m?
put it in
Multiply
boom, boom.
Multiply them. So that's x to the nm.
What's the one that has x to the n and then to the power of n?
X to the n
has
to the,
power of. It's like it's a double stacked.
like this.
It looks like that, but on the right.
The answer is that.
The answer is that.
Those are the answers.
If you took out the parentheses,
Oh, so if you had x to the,
n and then n to
Well,
that.
let's say
yeah.
n
You would-
to-
so if you had x to the 3/5, oh, that's too big. X to the 3 squared. That would not be x to the 6 because you would do this exponent. That would be x to the 9th.
Because you just
But how-
X to the, yeah.
so
Because 3 squared is 9.
there's not anything for that on this unit, right? Okay. But that's how would
So that's
get-
different than,
because you
that's different. This is tricky. That's different than x cubed squared because that would be x to the
Six.
6th.
So how would you get to that form, the one that got to x to the 9?
You would just have to start with that form. You wouldn't ever land here. Like we don't really see this.
Ever.
Yeah.
It just works.
So let's do some examples. You're gonna start out easy and go from there. Like I could pull a popsicle stick for that one. X cubed times x to the 7th.
x to the 10th.
Oh, I said I could, but I don't need to. X cubed divided by x to the 7th.
x3 minus 7.
Okay. So one way to say that is x to the 3 minus 7, which is x to the negative 4, which is 1 over x to the 4th.
So if you go to the negative 4, then you'd have to do it to the you'd have to change it in the answer.
Now, most people are not going to go through those steps. They're going to skip all the way to there
1.
and just say 7 minus 3 is 4, stick it in the bottom. So, I mean, if you want to show the steps, you're fine, but most people are not going to show those steps. X cubed over y to the 4th, all to the 7th.
Okay.
Got to distribute the 7. Well, I don't know that distribute's the right word, but yes, basically. So 3 times 7 is what now? 21. It's still early, I guess. And 4 times 7 is 28. Ooh, what if that was a negative 7 though? X cubed.
But we're gonna have practice on the fraction.
X cubed over y to the 4th to the negative 7. So you could flip it and then distribute the 7, or you could distribute the negative 7 first. Right? Power to a power, you multiply. But then, if it has a negative exponent, it flips over.
Flip them both over.
So they're both going to flip. So x to the 21 in the bottom, y to the 28 in the top.
And then what do you subtract?
Those are two different.
Yeah. So if they were both x's, you would subtract them.
You could sleep right now and be fine.
Well, you know what? Let's flip the page. Yeah.
No, you can.
No, you're taking a nap right now.
Wait, not 3, but 5. Let's jump up in order of difficulty here.
You walked in.
3x cubed y squared over 27 x to the negative 6th all squared. Yeah, lots of stuff going on in there. 3x cubed y squared over 27x to the negative 6. So, what do I do first?
Oh, God.
I would not square everything because I don't want to square 27.
What do you mean?
Reduce.
Let's reduce. So I can reduce the 3 and the 27. In fact, I'm going to square last, actually. So if I reduce the 3 and the 27, what does that
Equals. Boom. Boom. Boom.
what does that leave me with? And where?
X cubed over.
Why do I have like 4x?
No, just the 3 and the 27. What's that?
1 and 9.
That leaves me a 9 in the bottom.
9.
How about x cubed over x to the negative 6? What does that become?
1 and negative 2. Or just, no.
What does a negative exponent do?
Flips.
Flip it. So if this flips to the top, how many x's do I have in the top now?
9.
X.
3. 9.
It flips to the top and becomes positive. So I have x to the 6th and x to the 3rd. So that makes 9. And then lastly, y squared is just still right there. So now I can do the squared stuff. What's x to the 9th squared?
X to the 18th.
Good, x to the 18th, not x to the 81st. Y squared squared would be y to the 4th, and 9 squared would be 81.
No, he did it.
Yay, I did it.
Wait, how'd you get? Never mind. After you did.
Another one that's tricky looking. X to the 4th, y to the negative 2, z to the 7th.
Oh, how do you guys always use the last letters in the alphabet? Why don't you guys?
That's a fair question. I don't know the answer to.
That's the
Yeah,
first
because
thing
after you get to Z, like, you gotta start back at, like,
You guys are just biased.
A.
Okay, look at this. X to the 4th, y to the negative 2, z to the 7th, over x to the 5th, y to the 0, z to the negative 6.
Oh, he thinks he's funny. He put 0.
Well,
All the negative 2. I think we clear up the inside and then handle the negative 2.
because my 2's are like Z's, I gotta make this look like an actual Z with the line.
So, again, let's clear up the inside and then we'll handle the negative 2. So, what do we have in terms of x's?
X on the top.
X where?
On the top.
So I got 4 of them in the top, I got 5 of them in the bottom.
You have 1 X on the top.
I have 4 of them in the top and 5 of them in the bottom.
1 negative X on the top.
So if I really want to see what's going on, I have 4 of them in the top and 5 of them in the bottom.
so just X and off.
So it would be an X in the bottom. So subtract and put it where the bigger one is. So 5 minus 4 is 1. There's 1 left in the bottom.
Is it negative?
Nope. You could say it's x to the negative 1 in the top, if you want to do top minus bottom, but it's easier to just subtract and put it where the biggest one is. Now you spotted the y to the 0. So how many total y's do I have and where are they?
There's
There's 2 on the bottom.
There's 2 in the bottom.
and there's just a plus 1 on the top.
There's 2 y's in the bottom.
Never mind. Yeah.
Y to the 0 is 1, so that didn't really do anything
So
for
do
us.
you have a plus 1 there, or do you have a just
Y to the 0 is 1,
so that's just cancels.
and you're multiplying, so it's just Leave it alone. Take it out. How about the z's? How many z's are there going to be, and where are they going to be?
13 at the top.
13 in the top. Because the z to the negative 6 flips to the top. That puts 13 of them in the top. I don't want to do too many things at once. So z to the negative 26, x to the negative 2, y to the negative 4. We don't want negative exponents. So anything with a negative exponent flips to the other side.
So you may as well just flip the whole thing.
So the whole thing gets flipped because everybody has a negative exponent.
Squared y4 over z thingy.
Just over 1.
Over 1. No.
Over z to the 26th.
Oh, because 26 is
Because it was negative and it got flipped.
got it.
Two more. 32 x to the 4th y over 2y cubed z to the 8th all to the 1/2. Again, let's clean up the insides first. And let's pick on some people now. So I've got numbers, x's, although Charlotte's not here. So numbers, x's, y's, and z's. So Will, tell me about the numbers, 32 and 2. What is that? What do I end up with?
16.
Top or bottom?
Top.
16 in the top. Good.
It's a 2.
That was a 2. Sorry.
Put the line through the z to make it look like it's.
My z's will have a line through them.
My 2's look like z's. My z's look like numbers.
All right, Emma, I'm looking at x's. How many x's do I have, and where are they?
X to the 4th, there's just one.
Yeah, that really wasn't too bad. There's still just an x to the 4th in the top. Olivia, how about the y's?
Y to the 2 on the bottom.
Good. Y squared in the bottom. Then Maria's not here either. No, Ty's not here. Goodness, I have to find somebody who's here today. Ryan's here. Ryan gets an easy one. How about the z's? What do I do with the z's?
You sleep.
You throw them away.
What's that? Yeah, there's nothing to, so it's still just z to the 8th.
Yesterday was national. We're always short for something this day.
All right, now I get to distribute that 1/2 to everybody. What's
We're bad. We're 6-2.
so power to a power we multiply, so the x's and y's and z's are easy. But what's the oh, whoops. Oh, we're good. We're good. What's 16 to the 1/2? That's 4, because that's the square root of 16. So 4x squared over yz to the 4th.
So, when do we get that?
Nah, not today. We're fine.
Wait, can you go back? I need to finish right now. Okay, got it.
All right, last one. So we'll make this one a real winner here.
No, it better not be a
Give us like
model.
something that we can expect on the text.
Give us something we can actually solve.
You could solve this. If you could dodge a wrench, you can dodge a dodgeball. This is a wrench.
This is a supersonic rocket. Can you dodge that? I don't think I can dodge it. I'm gonna be super scared.
So get all that copied down, and then we'll work through x's, y's, z's, numbers.
This will kind of like
It's not bad. You just slow and steady.
240.
How do you do
Big,
that?
big numbers, big numbers, big numbers.
But it doesn't even like.
So that doesn't reduce. You're right. 32 and 243 doesn't reduce.
Couldn't figure that out without.
So we'll worry about that later.
You always need a calculator.
Well, I would just
But we still have
another year.
X's to deal with,
Counting all my
and Y's to deal with, and Z's to deal with. So, Alina, how about the X's? How many X's do I have left, and where are they?
I don't know. Maybe a lot. But it does look nice outside.
So, Alina, what does the X to the negative 2? Where does that go? To the top. So there's 8 in the top already. I put 2 more up there. So I have X to the 10 in the top. Tori, how about the Y's?
They just stay the same.
Yeah, that's the easy one. There's just Y to the 15th in the top.
And then we just
Hold on. Julia, how about the Z's? How many do I have, and where are they? Good. Z to the 5th in the top. Because Z to the 0 is just 1. And then that negative 5 flips to the top. So 32 to the negative 2/5. X to the... do I want to multiply on the fly here? Can you take negative 2/5 of 10?
Oh, no. That's like 18.
Well, we'll just assume we can't and write it out. All right, let's see if we can do a couple things at once here. Who's flipping sides top to bottom?
everything that's negative.
Yeah, everybody is
But
flipping.
then the ones that are multiplied to a negative, what the heck do they do?
So everybody's going to get flipped because of the negative.
I thought you said we could solve this.
So 32 to the 2/5 in the bottom. 243 to the 2/5 in the top. What's 2/5 of 10? So either do 2/5 of 10 or divide first and then multiply, or multiply then divide. But what do I end up with? 4.
Yeah.
20 over 5, or 2 times 2.
This is still the same problem.
15 divided by 5 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6.
How to get to here?
So y to the 6 in the bottom.
Oh, we're just going on the outside. Never mind.
For the z's, the 5's cancel and end up with z squared. And then I'm almost there. Like, all my variables are fine. 243 to the 2/5. That's the 5th root of 243 squared. We've done this before. What's the 5th root of 243?
Oh.
I really don't know. Do we have
Wait,
a
the fifth
calculator?
root of 32 is 4.
There's only so many options it can be. It's 3. And 3 squared is 9.
Do we have a calculator for this test?
You do not have a calculator for this test.
Please tell me there's not numbers like that.
Maybe not the 243 to the 5th root, but everything else would be fine. Everything else is easy. 5th root of 32?
4.
2.
Well, yeah. 2 and then 4.
There's something to the right of that.
2 squared is 4.
Oh, there is.
So 4, x to the 4th, y to the 6th, z squared. Yes, pardon me on my z's and my
Will
2's.
we ever actually have to do this on the test?
Yeah, maybe not the 243, but the rest is no big deal. Like,
Yeah.
Can you just make
just
this allow
go
it?
slow and be careful. All right, the assignments. Worksheet 1, I'll give you the packet.